Welcome to the MMHP and the 989. Podcasting from the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame in downtown Bay City. Channeling all styles and eras of Michigan music history. From the city by the bay. And now, Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and your host, Scott Baker.
We are here at Studio 163 in Essexville, Michigan, right around the block from the Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame on Washington Avenue. And we are starting to get the springtime feels around here. Snow every week has led to rain starting
Rain
today.
tonight, yeah. It was raining when we came in.
And the greens and the birds and the robins and everybody's got that cabin fever kicking right now.
I saw two robins walking the other day, so that's a sure sign of spring.
Dr. J's in the house, as you hear right now. Is everything else going good, buddy?
Yeah, we got the big Madonna 40 Festival coming up at the Planetarium Friday night on March 31st, and hopefully we're going to get a lot of people there because it's pretty impressive to see a show at the Planetarium, let me tell you.
Are the tickets on sale now?
Yes, they are.
Not that it would matter by the time this rolls.
Yeah, I mean, this is by the time we air, it's going to be long gone. But yeah, they're selling briskly.
I have to get them.
You get them through the Planetarium box office.
I made it to Floyd last weekend, so
Yes.
Oh, you saw that?
yeah.
Very good.
It was really, really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that Planetarium was a real jewel for
It could have been
BC.
louder to me. I could have used it to be louder.
Whoa.
But,
Okay.
It didn't move me like a good loud concert does. I kind of felt it at normal volume, and I could hear people talking behind me, and it kind of pissed me off. So I was like, you want to. But, everybody was like, ooh, did you see that? And I'm like, experience it. And then there's like kids there, and I have my kids there, and everything was cool. But I'm like, if I can hear people talking behind me, man, this just a little bit louder.
Yeah.
But I love it. I mean, it was mapped out great. It was definitely one of the more modern mixes because I heard some parts in it that I hadn't heard before. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's one of the newer mixes of Dark Side.
Yeah, and that sound system is state of the art in there. And plus, the visuals are new. That this is an art form, this full dome presentation.
Yeah.
People all over the world are working in that format. So
I went to that Egyptian one last Friday or Saturday. That was really good.
Sir Fred, has anybody seen the one that they had for the Big Month feature in February? It was the multi-art. I don't even know the name. I don't think it was the Egyptian one, but we were going to go to that, and I think they still have it like once during the week still right now. But it was some guy's name, and they're still pumping.
Oh, that's Mesmerica.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I saw that. That was wonderful.
Okay, I've been thinking about wanting to hit that before it hits the road too, though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's more of a almost meditative kind of presentation, not like Pink Floyd.
I think they're
Have you guys been to the Planetarium for any of their shows?
No.
Oh, you have to go.
Yeah.
It sounds like it just from what you all
It's fabulous. And what better way to kick this off than going the Madonna 40 thing?
There you go.
There you go.
I'm telling you, it's going to be really good. You get to see this famous award-winning film, Smelly Little Town. And you've never seen Madonna videos like the way they're projected up in the dome, let me tell you.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I got my ticket.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And the director of the film is going to be there for a Q&A. He shot it all in Bay City, basically.
Wow.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, it's really entertaining.
Mike Beatty in the house. How you doing, Mr. Mike?
Doing good.
Doing good? Anything new?
No.
You got
always something new.
You got a video release for us coming this Friday?
Yep.
Good. It'll be a good surprise for everybody.
Are you going
Thank
to
you for doing
divulge,
this.
or is it going to be a surprise?
Natalie Haas and Alistair Frazier.
Oh,
Did you do
okay.
the May Early Wine one too? Are we going to get that down the road?
Yeah, I might.
Or did you get in trouble there too?
No.
It wasn't like
No, I didn't, but-
you get hit over the head with somebody's guitar for taping or nothing.
No, I've never been
Okay.
hassled.
As long as you don't do the Who, I don't need Pete Townsend going in with a Strat hitting you over the head. But you're getting good at this stuff, so hey.
Yeah. The only thing about May is I got some great footage, but I pay attention to the show and my camera kind of wanders down. So
Yeah, but that usually has to do with those cans in front of you too, right? We have special guests in the house, and we're going to have a jazz evening. We haven't had a jazz evening in a long time. We've done polka, we've done blues, we've done a ton of rock and roll. We're going to talk some old school and modern jazz tonight. We got both Brent and Mary Gilbert in here. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Real good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having
This
us.
has been in the works for about 3 or 4 months now, and due to weather or COVID or sickness or whatever, we have finally landed it. And Mary, you look like you've brought a lot of stuff with you. And I know Sir Fred's got a huge background with, is it your uncle?
It is my uncle.
Your uncle.
Yes,
Well,
my Uncle Dick.
let's jump right into this here and tell us a little bit about the history in your family.
Okay. Dick Jessup.
You can put those on if you want. You can put that near you if you'd like. If you hear your voice into the mic better. You're a little far away.
Oh, that is. Is that good?
There you go.
All right. So, my Uncle Dick Jessup, is well, he's passed away now. He died in 2008. He was my mother's only brother, older brother, much adored, much revered older brother, and lots of stories about my Uncle Dick, and I adored him. He was my mentor. Just a very, very sweet, gentle soul, but the coolest. He was the only guy that I ever met who could say he was a real cool cat and sound cool. Because
it was
you know what I
legit.
mean? Because it was legit.
Yeah.
He
was a cat.
He was a cat. So, yeah. Where do you want me to start?
Well, why don't you start? Do you know when Dick started playing music and how his orchestra formed? Did he play with somebody else before he formed his own group? And
Yes.
give us a little background on that.
Sure. So, Dick started playing out at 13 at the Green Mill.
Wow.
Well,
Where was the Green Mill? Midland?
Saginaw.
Saginaw?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Saginaw.
Right there. I
you
got the
go.
CD of it.
In fact, because he was only 13, my grandpa Jessup had to drive him into Saginaw and stay with him while he played the gig.
What did he play?
He played trumpet.
Okay.
Yep.
And he was
played
with
horn.
some boys older than him, or?
Oh yes. And I don't, unfortunately, I don't know the guys. I don't know. You might have some of that information.
Well, I didn't even know
but-
that
Yeah.
part. But
Yeah.
in his orchestra that played at Winona Beach Casino, it was an all-star band.
Yes.
Saginaw musicians
It was.
who all talk like, I'm a cool cat.
I'm a cool cat. Yep. First time I ever heard the word gig, you know. And, it's funny. Somehow, growing up, I remember thinking, I'm not allowed to talk like that. I don't know why, but it was almost like, I can't say the word gig. And now we say it, what, 5 times a
It's
week? I don't know.
every day,
Yeah,
yeah.
every day.
Even my kids are like, Daddy, you got a gig this week? It's like, all right,
You're raising them right.
yeah.
So he started out actually playing out in bars when he was 13. And, yeah,
What year would that been? 40s?
30s.
30s?
Yep.
No doubt.
I should have brought his obit, but Dick was born. Let's see, if my mom was born in 25, Dick was probably 20 or 21, 1920 or 21 when he was born. I can find out for sure.
Oh, it's all good. I'm sure that guy's probably got in his book over there.
Probably does.
He's been
No,
talking
I
about
don't,
Jessup
but
on many
now I
episodes.
know what year he died. I'm definitely going to look
Might
it
have
up.
a couple of other surprises.
That's why he was so excited to get you guys here. When we get in that
great.
Dick Jessup episode? All right, here we are.
Very cool. So anyway, then he joined the USO when he was 18. I assume it was 18. And traveled with the USO. And in fact, I talked with my cousin Debbie today on the phone twice in preparation for this. Debbie is one of Dick's daughters. So she is in the UP, actually. She's a retired teacher living in the UP. But she she has lots of stories. And so she'll be at the center of a couple of stories tonight that have been kind of passed on family stories. And I didn't know if they were true. And my parents have passed away. But so I had to call Debbie and I had to say, this is what we've heard. Is this true? Yep, it's true. So he spent time touring with the USO. And then when he got back, he put together an all-star band. And they played Saginaw quite a bit, but they also went on tour from the time that Debbie was an infant until she was in 3rd grade. So they were on the road, 8 years? And everywhere from Buffalo, New York, down to, they played Plantation Inn in Greensboro, North Carolina for a few years, across to Memphis, and then across to Dallas, and played Sapango. Does that sound right? Sapango Club in Dallas for many years. And then finally, his wife Mary, so Mary Jessup. I think that Mary and Debbie probably got tired of being on the road. By the time Debbie was in 3rd grade, she had attended 20 different schools.
Whoa.
So it was time to come home. He felt like it was time to come home. And so the band reassembled in Saginaw, and they played Saginaw forever. Saginaw, the airport, right off the Sky Room at the airport, was a pretty major player in his life. Saginaw Yacht Club, Midland Country Club. So they played a lot of gigs, on this side of the state for a lot of years.
I'm real interested in the times he played the casino out at Winona Beach.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a storied place.
Yes.
Just doing a little digging into the history of Winona Beach and the entertainment they had there. They had some big name orchestras that played out there. Guy Lombardo and Bob Crosby, the Dorsey Brothers. Ozzie Nelson and Harriet Hilliard.
Oh, I hadn't known that.
Yes, before David and Ricky were born.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty cool. And I was wondering if you knew what year Dick, because those orchestras, I'm figuring probably played there before his show band did, maybe.
Yes, they did. Now, I do know,
because I think that was probably in the 30s.
I believe so.
He was like the house band there, I think.
He was at the Palladium. Was it
the casino?
At the casino there.
Right.
And yes, so he was, and that's when he did a lot of work with comedian Harry Jarkey.
Right. Jarkey, I guess, started working there in 35.
Oh, okay.
And then he was there for, 25 years. He would appear fairly regularly.
Okay.
And so, I don't know when Dick might have started backing him or playing at the same time Jarkey performed.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Probably
I've seen
in the 40s,
pictures,
maybe.
But I would assume that it was in the 40s when he came back from USO tour.
Yeah, did he go overseas for the USO?
He did.
Wow.
He did. Guadalcanal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was on Guadalcanal.
So was my grandpa Louis in the
Is
Navy.
that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. And when he's in the Navy, this would be the 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Because I remember that.
Very cool.
That's one of my grandpa's stories in Guadalcanal.
Yep.
Coming out of the war or whatever.
Yep.
Getting on the beach.
Yeah.
Louis Willette.
That's a long way to travel from Little Wheeler, growing up in Wheeler, Michigan, to all these places really, but to travel internationally then. So he was at Winona Beach. I know that he played with the Dorsey Brothers. That's something that I've heard quite a long time ago.
Any chance that Sinatra might have been performing when he played?
I don't know about Sinatra, but I do have a family story about Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Does that come later in the story?
Whenever you want it.
Well, we're going to lay it out timeline-wise. I mean, unless you think it's pertinent to right now, but I mean...
Would that be later on, like in the 60s or?
Probably late 50s, early 60s, when they were still on the road. So they had been they had been playing. I don't know if they were opening. Dick's band was opening for Sammy Davis Jr. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that with Debbie. But I have heard this story since I was little, and this is one that I had to ask Debbie about today. But at one point, they were doing one show in Buffalo, New York, and the way it was told to me was during that time, of course, there was a lot of racial conflict going on in our country. And the way it was told to me, and again, forgive me, Uncle Dick, if this is not absolutely correct, but Sammy Davis Jr. was not allowed on, I don't know if it was a flight or a train. It seems like it was a train. Anyway, they were headed to Memphis, and he wasn't allowed to travel with the band, the rest of the band, who was, they were white. And so my uncle said, "We're driving. You want to drive with us?" And so Debbie, my cousin Debbie, was an infant. So Uncle Dick and Aunt Mary were in the front seat. And the story is, and verified today, that Sammy Davis Jr. held baby Debbie, who was an infant at the time, from Buffalo to New York to Memphis.
Wow, what a memory.
What a claim to fame, huh?
Wow.
So that's kind of a cool story.
Reflects on the character of Uncle Dick.
It does. It
Yeah,
absolutely does.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody was a racist back
Nope.
in those days.
Nope, absolutely not. And maybe this is rose-colored glasses, but I don't think so. I think not so much in the music world.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
yeah. So that was that was
Incredible.
pretty cool.
Wow.
Pretty cool story. But yeah, so when Dick played the Sapango Club in Dallas, apparently Rosemary Clooney would often sit in and play and sing with them. And the woman, and she was an actor, but she was actually known as a musician, and I didn't know this, but the woman who played, and I should have looked it up because I can't remember her name, Asian singer, and she played in The Courtship of Eddie's Father. Does anybody remember that? And she played...
She was the housekeeper.
I think she was the housekeeper. So that was what she was well known for, but she was actually a singer.
Nanny.
And so she sang, the nanny, she sang with Uncle Dick's band quite a bit. I don't know her name. I should have written
I think
it
I
down,
remember
but-
the film, but yeah, I don't.
Courtship of Eddie's Father.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a TV
It was
series.
It was a TV series.
Oh, this was the TV series?
Yes.
Not the film?
I don't think. I think it was on the series that she was.
Okay, because I believe that was a movie.
It was too, wasn't it?
that they probably made the TV series after the
You're right.
popularity of the film. I mean, that was pretty common back in those days.
Yeah. So that's some of the stories I know.
Very cool.
I tell you, the singer on this CD, I know it had to be recorded late 40s, 1950, because most everything else on these recordings were at that time. The singer on this is a real hip, almost like rapping or something, or like Louis Armstrong, scatting and stuff
Really?
and snapping his fingers. And I don't know who it is because he
I'll have to
never
listen.
says who the singer is.
I don't. Was it recorded in the Detroit area?
No, it was at the Green Mill.
Oh, Green Mill. Okay.
It's Dick Jessup and the Green Mill Orchestra. So he
And it's
must.
not Uncle Dick singing?
I don't know. 'Cause-
I could tell you if I heard it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember him scatting, but he probably did.
I mean, whoever the singer is just a real hip type of singer, like a beatnik type of.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't,
he was a cool cat.
he was a cool
Yeah.
cat.
Come on.
Right.
Did not wear a beret, though. That was not my Uncle Dick. No.
I don't know how you'd say the name.
I don't either. That's cool. I wonder if that's him then. I mean, we could pop it in the car out here and verify
Yeah.
it, but we can also put that on the post op here when we do this show,
Did you find the TV series, Mike?
He's got something.
Yeah, she was Mayoshi
Yep.
Umeki.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mayoshi.
Mayoshi.
Yes. Yes. So apparently she came to the bandstand quite a bit in Dallas, at the club in Dallas. So
Didn't you say she used to hang out kind of with Dick and Mary?
she did. In fact, Debbie still has a doll that Mayosha bought for her. And at the Winona, the Ink Spots came and played. And I don't know what year that would have been, but they came to the house, to Dick and Mary's house, and they gave Debbie and they each signed an album. And so she still has that.
Oh, wow.
Well, I know it must have been in the 1950s because I remember my parents going,
Really?
and they had the Ink Spots album that they probably sold at the engagement.
I'll bet they
Probably
did.
the very
It's
same
probably
one.
the same album. Oh my goodness.
Right. So they went out there. They were big fans of Harry Jarkey.
Is that right? Okay.
So they must
Okay.
have seen Dick play numerous times
I'll
out
bet
there.
they did.
Yeah.
I'll bet they did. Yeah. We have a CD somewhere, and I've not been able to find it since the flood, which sounds so biblical, but in Midland it kind of was. And I don't know where it is. I searched high and low to find. It was Dick at the Sky Room, playing at the Sky Room, and it was recorded by my Aunt Mary, so you can hear the cocktail glasses
Nice.
tinkling in the
All right.
That sounds like one of Mike's recordings.
Yeah, table.
I love it. It's great. It's atmosphere. That's it exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, when did you come to realization, and when did he see you, and how did it? Tell us about the bond and how it worked out, and when you came along with the scene here.
So when he started playing the Sky Room, and that was when he was playing with Jack Brusky. Jack Brusky was bass player.
Right.
Al Smith. Let's see. Jimmy Ryder, but I think that was after Jack Brusky. Anyway, all those guys, they were playing the Sky Room. And my parents would take us out every so often to hear him play and, watch the planes take off and be in what we thought was the most elegant place on earth. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but that staircase that, was,
Right.
it had all the little lights on it. And
That's
it
pretty neat out
curved.
there.
It was beautiful. Talk about atmosphere. That was an incredible place. But so we used to go out there sometimes, and my Uncle Dick knew that I loved music and loved to sing and had been doing a little bit of theater stuff as a kid in Midland. And I don't know how this came about. My guess is my mother suggested that, he have his niece come up and sing. I don't know, but he was incredibly gracious. And so when I was 13 or 14, we would go out and he would call me up on the bandstand. And so that's how I started singing with him in the band.
Did you have a particular number that you performed?
Funny you should ask. Yes, I did.
Okay.
So that would have been, let's see, probably about 75, 76, 1975, or 76, yeah. I did. So we had about 5 songs that we would do together. But my favorite one, and there's a story behind it, is Don't Get Around Much Anymore.
Okay.
So song out of the 30s or 40s.
Cool.
But it's a very cool song, and it's one that I heard my Uncle Dick do, forever. And I loved the song. But it was a terrifying start because you start without the band. And so I never knew if I was going to get the right note. And that was really, really scary. And so my just incredible and gracious Uncle Dick would very unobtrusively come up beside me and kind of behind me and hum the note in my ear. And then I could start it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, man.
So I would sing the first line, "Miss the Saturday Dance," and then all of a sudden the band comes in, dun 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 dun, and we did it every time. So
Wow.
it was fun.
So what other songs did you perform? Do you remember?
I do. We did one called "You Do Something to Me," "Blue Skies," "Just in Time," "For Once in My Life," "Life Is Just a Bowl of Cherries," "Fly Me to the Moon."
Wow, you're doing all the golden oldies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
okay.
was the American Songbook.
All right.
Yeah.
And you were 13, 14
Yep.
when it started?
Yep.
How long did you end up jamming, playing, singing with them? How many years?
Probably till off and on. I mean, it wasn't a steady gig with me at all. It was, maybe, I don't know, once every 3 or 4 months, maybe. But until I was 17 or 18.
Wow.
And then, And then after that, I thought jazz was super boring. So
What were you into
I
at
was
the time?
way cooler than that.
What were you doing?
I did something incredibly cool. I joined a wedding band. So,
Well, hold it
come on
out.
now. Come on.
Yeah.
I was the wedding singer. Yeah. But so I moved on to the west side of the state and played in different wedding bands and rock bands. And then my uncle called me and asked if I would come do a gig with him. And I was probably in, I don't know, maybe my mid-late 20s then. And so I came back over and did this Saginaw Yacht Club with him for something. And I realized how stupid I was not to be doing that again. And it was really fun.
It rekindled
It was
your
really
passion
fun.
for his music.
It did.
And that era of music.
Yes, it did. I mean, I went ahead and I still did a lot of pop and rock. But it reminded me of how much I loved it. And so I'm going to back up just a little bit. So when I was probably 10 years old, my parents had a record player down in our basement, and we had all these 33 RPM records. And so I would sit in the hallway of the basement playing the records, playing these old, my parents must have gotten so tired of the song "Embraceable You," but I would play those records and sing those songs over and over and over. Judy Garland and Ella Fitzgerald, and they really kind of got in my head. So I think that, when you do something from such a young age, it just sort of becomes a part of you, And so kind of rekindling some of that stuff with Uncle Dick in my 20s reminded me of how much I loved that.
Did when you were performing with your Uncle Dick, was it like the traditional big band where they would play instrumentals and then they would bring you out to do some vocals?
Absolutely.
Yes, all right, very neat.
Yeah.
Did the house go nuts for it? Did you get the vibe like, this is cool, like everybody knows it out there?
They love Dick. They absolutely love Dick. And who doesn't think it's cute to see a 13 or 14-year-old singer come up and belt something? So
Heck yeah. That had to be just,
it was fun.
I mean, almost to the point where he'd want to put it on his bill, like if you're going to appear, that had to be a cool thing.
He bought us nachos, my sister and I. That was our payment. These mountain
He bought us
nachos.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a recording of you with him?
Never. And that's something that my mom and dad often talked about. Like, oh, why didn't we do that? Mm-hmm. I wish we had, video and audio.
Did he ever do anything at the colleges or for any of the fundraisers or anything? I remember big bands and that, doing Jerry Lewis telethons and stuff. And I just wondered.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe he has a recording somewhere that no one knows about that could be in the archive somewhere,
Maybe.
Yeah.
My Aunt Mary, who is also living in the UP now, she has some CDs. So I'm going to try to get a hold
need
of
that
them.
one?
I tell you, this CD is very well recorded.
Okay.
It was recorded on a wire recording.
Oh, that's one of those wire ones you have?
Yeah.
Really?
And the quality is just unbelievable.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
We got to make sure that she gets a copy of that.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be
outstanding.
great.
I got so many things I need copies of.
Yeah, you told me. I got that email this week.
I know that Dick made a. The reason I was asking about if the recording was from Detroit is because he made a did a song called Sunshine and Roses, I think it was called. It was very and that was in a recording studio in Detroit, because in 2004, Dick wasn't doing very well. He wasn't feeling well. Just seemed kind of down. Wasn't playing anymore. Pretty bad emphysema, so he could not blow his horn anymore. And in fact, the reason that even though he lived with emphysema for a couple of decades, the doctors said the reason why he lived so long with emphysema is because he blew that horn for so many decades. Mm-hmm. So that lung capacity was pretty darn good. But anyway, he was feeling bad, and I had heard about this recording that he had made, but nobody had known where it was or really even heard of it. I don't even remember how this all happened, but I did some research and ended up getting a hold of this woman who worked at this recording studio down in Detroit. And she, from the depths of the archives probably, she found that recording.
Wow.
She made us a CD and sent it up. And yeah, so what had happened was, do you have time for one more story?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of time.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is your. Keep on rolling.
Okay. So, it was either 2004, 2005 time frame. My aunt and uncle were living in a little condo in Auburn, and it was during one of those bad snowstorms, and their power went out. And so my mom and dad, who, were getting up there in years as well and not traveling very much, they called Brent and I. We were living in Mount Pleasant at the time, and said, "Can you go rescue your uncle?" And so we drove over, and we walked into their condo, and the two of them were bundled in all of these comforters, just tiny little people underneath all these comforters. And so we took them out, and we got them back to Midland and for a few days. Well, in the meantime, that's when that CD came in. And so when Brent and I took them home a few days later back to their place in Auburn, my aunt and uncle were in the back seat, and we were all just visiting. And of course, this was all sneakily planned out, but I popped the CD player in the car. And, my uncle was just this effervescent, beautiful extrovert, always smiling kind of man. So he'd been very joyful in the back seat, just being himself. And I started that CD, and they'd been kind of chatting in the back seat, and then it got very, very quiet. And recognizing what that was, and finally, I'm waiting for him to say something, and finally I turn around and I look in the back seat, and there's my uncle with these huge tears just
Oh my Lord.
just rolling down his face. Yeah.
It's one of the greatest stories we've ever had on here.
Yeah, what a
It was
magic
a great
moment.
day. It was something.
Wow.
It was really fun. So, yeah. And again, I don't know where that CD is either. So I've got to find it.
Amazing.
So,
Did he create any of his own music, or was it always a show and covers thing?
I think that it was. I really don't know, Scott. That's a really good question.
Like I bring that up on every show. Where we usually tie into not just the history of music in Michigan, but
Yeah.
the original artistry of it all. And there's a lot of guys that have been through here that have done nothing but covers, but they made such a huge name for themselves, like your uncle.
Right.
I was just curious because that's a question we're always going to ask if he
Yeah.
wrote any of his own music.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. That's something I should check out with my cousin Debbie.
This
But
record here that they backed up Harry Jarkey,
Yeah.
it was called "My Girl Just Eats Popcorn."
Oh.
Now somebody wrote that. One of either Dick did or he did. I can't see the.
I wonder.
That probably sounds like a Harry Jarkey.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say, I wonder if he. Yeah.
My Girl Just Eats Popcorn.
Maybe they worked
great.
together on it.
Maybe they did.
Yeah.
But what I will tell you though is that Dick was a really good arranger. So a lot of those covers that he did and the standards that he did, many times he did his own arranging. And
coming out live at the age of 13, he must have had that natural talent that is unexplainable to be able to put forth into the world an effort that not many people can do. So that at that early age is amazing.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
And growing up on a farm too, just my grandpa Jessup had a farm in Wheeler, and so my grandma was a school teacher, country school, and they were very well read. They listened to the radio a lot. They appreciated music. And so actually his first venture into music, Uncle Dick's, was piano lessons when he was like 9 or 10 years old. And he was just sort of about piano, but apparently as soon as somebody put a saxophone and a horn in his hand and he played, that was it.
A saxophone and a horn?
Yep.
So he's played sax, trumpet, and he sang.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful baritone voice. Just beautiful.
Was that a baritone voice on that CD there, Freddie? Can't tell.
I listened to it in a long time. I don't remember. Did Jack Brusky play with him a long time?
Long time.
Because here he's in this picture, and it says the 1940s.
Yes.
And then you said he was playing with him at the
Into
Sky
the
Room.
60s, yep. Maybe even the 70s. Yeah, they were tight.
Well, that's when I talking about a hip person talking like he was the one. I never heard.
Yes.
He would say groovy all the time, and I'd go and I thought, boy, that's corny. But I forgot that that was his generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Everything was groovy. Oh, that's groovy.
That's groovy.
Freddie, when you did the stories for that book on that chapter and all that stuff, did you talk to anybody that she might know of, or anybody else that was your contact?
All I had, I think our guest next week, Marty Kempf, gave me this picture.
Okay.
I can't remember. I've got the credit in the front, but I don't even know where this was taken. His name, he's got a Dick Jessup and his orchestra.
How many pieces in the...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, yeah, that was the bigger band. Okay.
Oh.
He often played with just a 5-piece.
Okay.
Sometimes even a 4-piece, but usually a 5-piece. Yeah.
Because this is like an all-star band here. All these musicians are in other parts of my book.
Okay.
As their own
The big
thing.
Saginaw guys. Yeah.
Carl Hildebrandt.
Okay. Yep.
Did you know him?
I didn't, but I remember Uncle Dick talking about him. Yep. Yeah. Thinking back and looking back and being able to remember and having gigged with a whole lot of bands since I was 14, maybe a couple decades ago. They were good. I mean, they were just those guys were good. They knew exactly when to come in. They knew when to kind of like they followed singers, which is a wonderful thing, but sometimes it's a rarity. But I think that they were just this tight, incredible group partly because they'd worked together for so long, but partly just because they were the musicians that they were. So
that's cool that you recognize that, which will lead us to the second half of our show, which is you taking it on at your teenage years and moving forward and going through the various wedding bands, rock and roll, to coming back to jazz with you and Brent.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how your path went and some of your highlights along the way.
So when I graduated from high school,
where?
Actually Midland High, I thought that Midland was the most boring place on earth, which really insulted my parents, but what can you say? And so I agreed to go to college. I tried my best. I lasted a week. Yep. So, I auditioned for. I knew that I wanted to sing, so I had gone to. My mother was a CMU Chippewa, and so Dad was a Spartan. I did not want to go to Michigan State. I'd been taking voice lessons at Michigan State for about 3 years. My very dedicated mom would drive me down once a week to Lansing.
Would this be 81, 82, 80?
Well, that would have been in the mid 70s or late 70s.
When you took the lessons?
When I took the lessons.
Okay.
Yep. And then I graduated from high school. I got it.
What year?
In 81.
81, okay.
Yep. And then, so then I said, okay, I'll audition for CMU for their vocal performance program. And so I auditioned. I was incredibly sick. I had like bronchitis or something, but I did the audition, and I went home and found out, I don't know, a couple weeks later, because I didn't audition until late August. It was really, really late. Story of my life, just a bit of a procrastinator. And so found out that I got in to the School of Music, into the vocal performance program. So my mom and dad set me up with, on campus and all of that. And so I went to a week of classes, and I went home. I had been singing on the weekends every so often with a band that was doing weddings. And just every once in a while, because a girlfriend of mine was playing keyboards in the band. So I went and I sat in with the band that weekend after 1 week of classes. Can I tell this story?
Yes.
My husband's here. I met the drummer. Mm-hmm. And I dropped out of college after a week. Drummer,
So you procrastinated getting in, then you met a drummer right away, and you got back out.
That's right. I did not procrastinate. So I dropped out, started singing with the band, and found out about 2 weeks later, much to my parents' frustration, that I had won a full ride scholarship for music.
Whoa.
Yeah, at CMU. But I didn't go back. So a little bit of a stubborn streak. So I didn't go back to school for a long, long time. But I did have a lot of fun. So,
no, when you were out with the drummer, that was the wedding band?
That was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a rock band, it was a wedding band.
Well,
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. I mean, I sang Pat Benatar.
Oh, so it was a wedding band that mixed it up.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, Kool and the Gang and Pat Benatar. Lots of fun stuff. I did get to the point where, and from there I joined. I had moved around a lot. It was sort of the family joke, but I was in a band in Lansing for a while. I was in a band over in Grand Rapids, but I got so tired of singing Rockin' Robin. I said if I had to sing Rockin' Robin one more time. Awful. And Proud Mary. It's a great song, but nobody really should sing it other than Tina Turner. So.
Or John Fogerty.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So I in and out of different bands for quite a while.
And this is in the Midland area? Or CMU area, Mount Pleasant area?
Midland, Lansing, Grand Rapids.
Okay.
Just kind of
St. Joe.
Okay.
St. Joseph, yeah. And also, I had attended Interlochen Arts Academy in high school between my junior and my senior year. I went that summer. And that kind of clinched it for me as well, that I knew that I wanted to stay with me in music of some sort. So fast forward, many years of singing pop, and not just, it was some wedding bands, but then it just became more like bar bands that I would put together. And I usually put them together and manage them. And I really credit Uncle Dick for that, for, being a band leader. And he would talk to me about, have your own band. And it was fun. and I got to do, sort of the marketing end of it, the passing out the money part of it, which was always kind of fun. I was always, I did something a little bit different than a lot of band managers do, and I would pay my musicians at the beginning of the night instead of the end of the night. I just felt like, I don't know, it just felt, well, for one thing, I was always afraid I was going to forget. So, and that would not go over well. So if I did it in the beginning of the night, I was good.
Makes you feel like they might put on a better show too.
Yeah, well, there you go, maybe. Yeah. Or they'd stay anyway. They'd come back after
finish
break.
the gig,
yeah. So then that brings us up to like the mid-90s, and I moved back to Midland in 94. 94, 95.
Did you during that time period of playing all those, did you have a 5-day-a-week gigs? Kind of like a lot of people come there like, man, there were so many gigs. We were playing 3 sets a night, 5 days a week, or whatever it was, because there's so many available gigs. Was that what you were doing? 3
nights a week usually.
Yeah. Did you have a day job too?
I had, every day job on earth, yeah. Because at that time, I hadn't completed college. I didn't really have a skill, so I did restaurant work, home health care. I was an activity director at several different assisted livings whenever I was living in different areas of Michigan. So yeah, lots of different jobs. And so finally in the mid 90s, I came back, and I felt like my parents were starting to get a little bit older, and I just wanted to be closer to home. So I came back. I started going back to school. I ended up eventually finishing my social work degree, and which I really loved, and then ended up getting my master's degree and became a psychotherapist. So therapist by day, singer by night, and
your therapist all day long.
Yeah, there you go. Music therapy. That's my therapy. So, yeah. But I did have about 2001 to 2000, 4 years of playing 5 nights a week at the casino, our casino here at Soaring Eagle. When I don't know if anybody remembers the Water Lily Lounge, but it was a really nice lounge in the hotel. And I played there from about 98 to 2002 or 2003. And we played 5 nights a week. It was something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really something. And that's when I was working with Jeff Hall, who, Jeff, just amazing piano player, amazing saxophone player.
He taught at Delta, was it? Or
SVS.
Yeah, I went to school with him since junior high.
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible artist.
I heard he's not doing well right now.
Yeah, he's really struggled with some brain injury. So yep, aneurysm. So it was tough. So it was kind of funny. Jeff and I worked together, and he played piano, and in this jazz gig. It was just he and I for a couple of years, and then we built it into a 5-piece that played. But the first few years, he was just this phenomenal piano player. And I remember running into somebody who, a musician in Saginaw, I don't remember who it was, but I was telling them about playing with Jeff and just how incredible it is, and just that he's this amazing piano player. And he said, "You do know that's not his first instrument, right?"
I didn't even know he played piano.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that just puts the exclamation mark on my story, because he said, "Yeah, no, his instrument is sax." I'm like, I had no idea that he even played sax. So then what happened was we got another piano player, and he played sax in the band. So it was pretty.
Did you happen to play at about 5 years ago at the Italian? It was an Italian club party out on State Street in Saginaw. because Jeff Hall was in the band. And the band, they had a female singer,
Okay.
and they were really good.
Was it the Michigan Jazz Trail Big Band?
I don't know. I didn't see the name or anything.
Oh, okay.
But I
Do you
talked to
remember where it
Jeff
was?
on the
Okay.
break, and, we were talking about Sonny Stitt, actually.
Okay. Okay.
But, it was about 5 or 6 years ago.
I don't know.
Okay.
The last time I gigged with Jeff was probably 5 or 6 years ago, actually. And we were playing some gigs in Saga. It's possible. I don't remember that specifically. But
I'm not normally into cover bands, but
Okay.
the band sounded really good.
okay. Yeah, Jeff.
And the singer was good.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I hope it was me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so we played the casino for quite a while together, and then Molly McFadden was a restaurant owner. She owned Molly's Bistro in Midland, and she's a jazz singer from New York City. I can't remember the whole story of how she ended up in Midland, but something to do with Lamont, jazz singer, Nancy Lamont. They were friends, and Nancy's from Midland, or was from Midland. So anyway, Jeff and I started performing regularly at Molly's Bistro, and then Molly got a grant from PepsiCo, and she put together an actual big band, and it was called the Michigan Jazz Trail Big Band. I don't know how many pieces, maybe 30 pieces. It was big band. And so we started playing, and I was fortunate to be one of the singers that played with that band. Julie Mulady was another
She
singer.
plays with Mike Brush all the time.
She
Yeah.
does. She's amazing. Julie has one of my favorite all-time voices anywhere. But we worked with Jeff in that band several times. We played not the Temple. Maybe it was the Temple. Anyway, several outdoor concerts with the Jazz Trail Big Band, and that was really fun.
I remember when Molly came to Midland. I was actually living in Midland at the time.
Okay.
I was there for maybe 2 years, and we were playing across the street, was it, or next door, at the was it 101?
Oh, yeah.
101 Main.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I played acoustic there quite a bit with my percussion player.
Okay.
And that we would go out as a band as Muddy Gumbo, a jam band in their area, and then we'd come back there and do duo stuff sometimes.
Nice.
But everybody mentioned her name, and I never got to meet her or anything. But then I moved to Saginaw after that.
Okay.
But that was a
Yeah.
cool story. Everybody saying how hip she was coming in there and trying to. I seen the story on it. I remember that. It was a big
Yes.
deal at the time.
It was a big deal.
Where's she now?
She lives in Cleveland now. She and Brian. Yep. Their daughter Kate, their only kid, Kate, moved to Cleveland, and so they decided they wanted to be a little closer to Kate. And Molly and Brian have written several musicals, and so and I think a straight play that with a puppet that Molly has written, and they've been performing that in the Cleveland area. So
cool.
yeah, they're doing well apparently. But she's a very gracious musician, and gave a platform to a lot of jazz musicians, and brought jazz music kind of back to Midland. It's a place that's really missed because there's just not a lot,
Right.
that's kind of straight jazz anywhere in our area really.
But that leaves it to you two. I know you two go out and play. And when Brent came along, you guys started doing duos?
We did.
Yeah?
Yep.
Tell us about it.
So
Yeah, you're going to say how we met?
I am.
or-
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Oh, boy.
So so the way that Brent and I met was during the time when Jeff and I were working the casino. There was a little piece of equipment, Nanoverb, that we had been using every night. Well, something happened and I don't know, it broke. But so following my uncle's advice, I always had my own PA. So I brought the PA. So it was mine. So I had to replace it. And so I went to Mid-Michigan Music on Main Street one afternoon. And I walked in, and there was a really cute sales guy. And I told him what I needed, and he showed me a nanoverb, and we talked about it a little bit. And he said, do you need somebody to come help you hook that up tonight? Now, I had been hooking this up for 3 years by myself. But I said, sure.
Which surprised me.
That salesperson was Brent.
The line finally worked. Brent.
Yeah, I never thought about it. How many times did you say that? How many girl singers did you say that?
Oh, that's funny.
Busted.
So I.
You'd like to see my nanoverb.
You're welcome to use it.
You're sharing it.
That's funny.
So anyway, I was thinking, hey, that's this guy's kind of, I felt like there was a little connection. I thought something had happened. Something
You don't have
good.
to tell that part of it.
So I'm singing that night, and here shows up this cute sales guy with a woman on his arm. I'm like, well, okay, I misread that sign. So they sat at a table and they listened, and I was polite and I said hello. I may have even come over and talked. I don't know. I think I did. And you introduced her. And so, and I was singing. But what was really funny is that the first time that woman got up and went to the bathroom, Brent came right up to the bandstand. And he said, "It's not what you think. I didn't bring her with me. Like, we're not on a date or anything." I don't remember. She was a frequent flyer customer, apparently, at the store. And I should let you tell it, but
Oh. No, you kind of covered all the bases. It's all right.
anyway, she overheard the conversation and she invited herself. And Brent was very nice. Brent is just nice. And so he said, "Sure, come along." But
You were able to throw away your receipt the next day then and say, okay, I'll keep this nanoverb. I'm not going to take it.
that's right. That's right. Yep. But
In my defense, I did set it up properly, and it was.
you did. You did. And
What club was that?
that was Water Lily Lounge.
Water Lily
as well.
Lounge as well. Okay.
Yep. And so he came up to me afterward and asked if I would want to get coffee sometime. And so we did that, and the rest is history.
And Brent, tell us a little bit about yourself on getting on the scene.
Well, I've been playing guitar primarily probably since I was 16. I grew up in Southern California and joined the Air Force, traveled all around the world, still playing music in Germany and a lot in Michigan and in Oregon. And as a matter of fact, I mentioned St. Joe earlier, where Mary was down there. We actually lived in the same apartment complex at the same time, never knew each other.
Oh, wow.
Both played in bands in the St. Joseph area, never knew each other, probably heard each other play.
Mm-hmm.
But
20 years before we actually met.
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I moved, after I retired from the Air Force, I sort of landed in first St. Louis, then Mount Pleasant, and thought about moving away. I went out to California for a little while, thinking I maybe needed to be back on the West Coast again. I said, it's not for me anymore. So I came back out, got an interim job working at Mid-Michigan Music as soon as I landed, and that's, like I say, where we met. And then listening to the band, the jazz band over in Mount Pleasant, at the Water Lily, I kept coming back, and then it wasn't right away. I mean, I don't think you even knew that I played guitar.
I didn't know for a while.
And so then I started playing a little bit, and then we started singing and playing together. And then what happened was, do you want to tell the Warner?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you tell that part. But we ended up playing together in a little trio.
Yeah.
And I'll let you pick it up from here.
So Brent and I, we worked with a phenomenal bass player, Kelly Gilmore.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. She lives like out in Mecosta County, and her full-time gig actually is playing with a group in Detroit called Skyline and the Backstreet Horns, right? But so the three of us did many gigs together, and so one Good Friday we were asked to play some music for a Good Friday service in Warner Auditorium on campus at CMU. Many churches would come together and lots of different musicians and play. So we did that.
We had 3 songs.
We had 3 songs that we did. And by this time, Brent and I had been dating, I don't know, a year and a half. Yeah. And so we went out and we did our songs. And I'm a really flexible person, but I'm pretty particular about what I do on stage. And I just want to get it right, And so we followed the stage directions, and we did our songs. And then what we were supposed to do is step back. I don't remember exactly. I know we were supposed to step back, though. Mm-hmm. Well, we stepped back, and all of a sudden, Brent steps forward again. And I'm thinking, what on earth is going on? I thought, this is not good. Full auditorium. I'm thinking, whoa, you gotta follow directions here, So he steps up to the microphone. I'm like, what? And he starts talking, and he starts talking about how he and I met. And nothing is clicking in my brain. I'm just like in full panic mode, like, oh my word, we are going to get in so much trouble. This is my reputation on the line too. Yeah. And so, it's one of those things where you sort of hear in a bathtub because you're a little bit anxious. I'm thinking, what's going on? And all of a sudden I hear him say, and so I'm wondering if you would be my wife. And I'm like, I wasn't even sure I'd heard it right. I couldn't hear anything. And so I didn't say anything. I was completely silent.
The longest 10 seconds of my life.
until Kelly, bass player Kelly, like pushes into me and says, "Are you going to answer him?" And of course, everybody laughs. And then I'm like, oh. And so I said, absolutely yes. And then, it erupted, of course, the whole
Very
so
cool.
it was very fun and very cool.
Amazing.
But I did not see that coming at all.
That's so cool. What a great story.
It was fun.
So you set all this up, obviously, Brent.
Yes.
Boy, you're taking a big risk there, buddy.
Wasn't it? And like I said, that was the longest 10 seconds of my life. But I had cleared it with the pastor that we were doing the song with, and he said, yeah, it's great. He says, as a matter of fact, I can work that into what I'm going to say, because I talked about a time of renewal and time of new things coming down the road.
That's right.
Oh.
I was really smooth.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
And the whole time I'm thinking, what is this idiot doing?
Oh, man.
Maybe not quite that harsh, but I was panicked. I thought, what is going on
Your gig,
here?
you're like all about the gig. That's
right.
Where your head was
right.
at.
It was. But so anyway, yep. It was
When was
a
that?
tremendously good gig. That would have been 2003.
Very cool.
Good Friday, 2003. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And then we
story.
ended up getting married in July. July what, Brent?
31st.
That's good. That was fast. July.
So you've got a 20th anniversary coming up?
We do.
Well, congratulations in advance.
Congratulations.
In case we don't see you.
Thank you.
On July the 31st.
You guys better have a big gig booked for that.
We should have a gig. That would be fun.
We always, our running joke is when we talk about how long we've been married and all that, I say, well, just, how long has it been? Well, 2 more years and it'll be an eternity.
I don't laugh that hard.
She says it more than I do.
So we have played together since then, and many different, configurations. Mostly pop,
Pretty eclectic.
Pretty eclectic, really.
Have you guys written any music? And all along, Mary, have you written any music on your own over those years? I mean, I'd never asked you that question.
Yeah, a little bit, very little.
Anything that's been recorded or came out? Or
Nope.
No, not yet.
Nope.
Eh?
I performed when I lived in St. Joe. One of the bands that I was with, we did a couple of my songs, and that was exciting. It was, pretty thrilling, but also pretty anxiety producing. I thought, ugh. But that was fun. And then Brent and I have written a couple that we would play out at Molly's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't done those in a long time.
No. And that was intimidating too, because we were playing in front of Jeff Hall and Jim Homeyer.
Yeah.
Some pretty high power musicians.
Yeah.
Here, we're going to play you our song.
But I'm willing to bet that they were excited to hear something fresh and hear what you guys had
That's
to
a very
offer.
lovely way to put it. Yeah, I think they were really, they were real supportive and
Yeah. Which you don't think of at the time, but you look back at it and go, yeah.
Yep. It was good.
That's great.
Good.
So are you guys going to do anything in the future, music-wise, recording-wise, or anything? Or what's on your plate for the year ahead?
Well, I was the engineer of her jazz album. Again, we're stepping back a little bit, but she did a full jazz album with Jeff and all of those folks from the band that played at the casino, and we've not recorded any of our stuff. We've mostly just been kind of doing things on the fly. We play at the Center for the Arts, and which is a lot of fun. Again, in a couple of different configurations.
Yeah.
But it's always fun. It's always, I don't know. It's we work together really well. I think we phrase our singing, really well together. Of course, we
do a lot of harmony.
A lot of harmony, yeah. And that was really nice with Kelly too.
Yeah, we did a lot of three-part.
A lot of three-part stuff, which is really fun.
Yeah, so we were able to do a lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and it was fun. Yeah.
And is your album available right now? Can they get that anywhere? The one that you did with Jeff?
I have a copy of the CD, or you do.
I gave it to you.
Oh, I don't think so.
I mean, is it on the web, or anybody can they look it up or buy it at Electric Kitch? Or?
We've not really ever tried to really market it.
Oh,
yeah. So
that's on me.
So the jazz group that I'm working with right now actually is Brent and I do a lot of we do some bar stuff. We're working at a coffee shop sometimes. We've steadily had gigs, mostly in Midland, but and for a while we did another three-piece with great guitarist and vocalist Dennis Pulaski out of Midland. Dennis is director of the Chippewa Nature Center, and gosh, we've all worked together for 12, 15 years now. So there's been that three-piece as well that has played out quite a bit. But so when the Pendulum Lounge at the Midland Center for the Arts opened in 2020, with all the weirdness of COVID, they ended up opening anyway. And so at that point, I put together a jazz quintet, and really did, because it was this mid-century vibe, it was an opportunity to really do those standards again, and do the American Songbook, and work with some really, really good people. So at that time, Brent wasn't doing jazz as much, so I was working with Kelly Gilmore was on bass, Jim Homeyer, he and George Whitaker kind of alternated on keys, Mike McHenry on drums, and now we've added a guitarist, Mike Weber, who's really, really good jazz guy out of Wayne State, and
a really nice guy.
So we've been working the Pendulum Lounge at the Center for the Arts, and that's been kind of fun. But we're going to work on an album, or well, do they call them albums anymore? I don't know, whatever. But we're going to work on some recordings as well.
Is the Pendulum open every weekend, or how does that work?
It's only open on Thursday nights. so which is a little different. But it's Thursday nights from 5 until 8:30. I think the lounge itself is open 4:30 to 8:30, but music is from 5 to 8:30, and it's not just jazz. I think that was kind of their hope at the beginning, but they've broadened it. So now there's a lot of different acts in there all the time.
What's the name of your group?
Easy Street and Company.
Okay.
That's the band that Brent's not in?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And when you guys go out, it's the two of your names, or what is it?
He said, she said.
He said, she said? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's changed a few times, but and the band that we play in with Dennis has been second time around. So yeah.
Can people look you guys up and find dates on the web on where you're playing, or where would they go for home base to find out what you're doing with what band?
I need a website, and it's so funny.
Well,
because,
if Facebook works, I mean, do you have
yeah.
you guys got a music Facebook page at all?
Not really. No, we've had somebody offer to do one, and really wanted to put one together for all of these different groups that that we're in and that I'm in, and I just haven't yet. Have not gotten with it.
Okay.
So I need to do more marketing because we play quite regularly, in one format or another. So, because I know Mike Weber got a hold of me just a couple days ago, guitarist, and said, "Hey, let's because the guys really want to start playing elsewhere. I'm not elsewhere, but I mean, in addition, playing other additional places." And so Mike was saying, "Let's get some recordings done." And
wonderful.
So yeah.
So you've got a busy fall ahead of you, or summer, or something, eh?
Yeah.
You just got to put it into work. You just got to plan it out. Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys will be playing all next year if you get something out.
Hope so. That'd be great.
Now, how do you guys go about booking right now? How does the Jazz World booking in Midland, out of Midland? Like, do you just call places, or do you guys have a base place you call, or what's it look like here in 2023, post COVID?
Yeah, I've been doing all the marketing, which clearly isn't it's mostly just word of mouth, and but. Yeah, I have not worked with like a band manager or a booking agency in 20 years. So I don't know. All that to say, I'm not really sure.
You just call places up and say we'd like to play.
Yep. Or I send emails and
okay.
Link to a picture.
So you're still doing all your own work around the house then, right? Like most of us are.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wow.
And I've thought sometimes should I be paying somebody else to just do this? And
if you can do it yourself, it's one thing. But if you want to get the word out, I know I don't know how the jazz world works. I come from the rock world, so I'll do everything myself for my own band, and that's the same for you guys right now. But being that you guys have had bigger shows or bigger events that you're involved with, I wonder if you got calls like, "Hey, we need you for this date," or what it would be,
Yeah, sometimes. Oh, yes. So that's it. That's almost always what happens at this point. Is people reach out to us and say, like at the Pendulum, "Hey, are you available?" Such and
very
such
cool.
and such.
So people come to you.
Yeah, at this point, which is really really nice.
Look at
But again, we kind of want to be playing a little like
a little more regular.
Yeah, and other places. It'd be fun to play Moriarty's in Lansing, or some jazz clubs in Ann Arbor in the Detroit area. Some of the guys like Mike McHenry, our drummer, he's from Detroit. Mike is down from that area, and it would just really be nice to be able to play out of Midland and our area too.
Sure.
Stretch it out.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, you're carrying on your uncle's legend and quite the family name, and I am so grateful I happened to run into Brent and to hear about this story.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
Freddie's been talking about your uncle since I've met Fred.
Wow.
And it's like to finally be able to bring the podcast show together to talk about this kind of Michigan music and have it right.
There's one thing that I don't think we mentioned, did we? Dick's work with Harry Jarkey. Fred, you had the record you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Did he ever talk very much about Harry Jarkey or working with him?
He and my mom had and I wish I had those stories, but he and my mom used to talk about it a lot. So, I think those were probably some really special times in his life. He loved the business. And
Harry Jarkey lived to be, I think, 100.
Wow.
I think he
that
died
right?
just a couple years ago.
Yeah, that could be right.
But I know he was 100, or it might have been even more.
Wow. That is really cool. That is really cool. Yeah. Well, see, that's what comes from laughing all the time and making people laugh. That's right.
Yeah.
Pretty healing stuff. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the guys that Dick played with have now died. So, Jack Brusky's gone, Al Smith's gone. A lot of those guys are gone.
Milt Schultz is gone. Gene Martouche is gone. Did you know him?
No, but I know the name. All these names are from my childhood. So, but yeah.
Well, your uncle would have been over 100, right? Right now.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so I know my dad. Yeah, my dad lived to be 102.
Oh,
Really?
my goodness.
When you live that long, unfortunately, everybody you knew has passed away.
Right.
He's referred to himself as the last man standing.
Yeah, probably how it felt.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Do we have any other generations coming out of your family at all? Do you have any children or anybody that's into music, or aunts or uncles with children, or?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll do a little plug for my great niece. No, great. I don't know. Anyway, so there's my mom, and she had 2 siblings. So she had my Uncle Dick, and then she had my Aunt Phyllis, her younger sister. And so my Aunt Phyllis, her granddaughter is Jillian Worsley, and she was Jillian Jennerson, but she has a wonderful voice, and she has put together her own group. She and her husband Ben, and they have been playing out. They just moved back to Midland from Petoskey about a year ago, and so they've been playing some coffee shops. And she's pretty excited because she is their band's playing the Pendulum Lounge at the end of the month.
Jazz?
Nope. More like 80s, 90s. Yeah.
Rock?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What's
Good
the name of the band?
Something Neutral.
Neutral.
Something Neutral. Yep. I don't even think I want to say the other guys' names because I don't. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't remember, but Something Neutral. Yep. Singer's Jillian Worsley. I don't know that she goes by Jennerson or Worsley, but she's really good.
The promotion that I saw was Worsley.
Was it Worsley? Okay. Yep. Jillian. So, yeah, they've got a good sound, and she could sing jazz because I know her voice.
Mm-hmm.
She hadn't gotten there yet, but
Yeah.
I was saying the other day to her, I sent her an email and said, this is just really cool that, from Uncle Dick's generation to my generation, now down to your generation.
That's great. I'm glad we got to add that to the podcast.
Yeah,
I was curious about that.
It's very cool.
Wow. Well, thank you both for coming to our show and being on the MMHP with us here. A phenomenal Michigan backstory, current history, and future.
Thank
you
so
both
much
for
for
it
having
was awesome.
me.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was fun.
The MMHP is hosted on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and our own Libsyn podcast site. You can also search MMHP 989 on Facebook for up-to-the-minute information, as well as both Dr. J and Sir Fred's album picks of the week, posted every weekend. Don't forget to look for Mr. Mike's local music live series, posted frequently on MMHP's Facebook hub, as well as Scott's Mid-Mitten 15 from Harvest Canteen, featuring one-on-one interviews with Michigan music artists. You can connect with Scott on the web at scottbakermusic.com, Dr. J at michiganrockandrolllegends.com, Sir Fred at fredrife.com, Mr. Mike at YouTube at Mr. BT1. That's MRBTEE and the number 1. Brought to you by Michigan Rock and Roll Legends, located both inside the Bay County Historical Museum on Washington Avenue, as well as Scotty's Sandbar on Evergreen Drive at the Bay City Middle Grounds.
On behalf of our hosts, Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and myself, this podcast wouldn't have been here without the voice of the MMHP, Mr. Eddie Switek, the generosity of the Bay County Historical Museum, which hosts the Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame, as well as this podcast, Mr. Alan Garcia, all of our guests, and especially to the listeners. We want to thank you.
You know
Oh, yeah, thanks.
where that might have been taken?
Oh, let me see.
He looks pretty young.
Oh my
Compared to
gosh,
here.
that's a really old picture. Oh,
Because there's Jack Brusky.
yep, sure is.
That's
don't know
all
where
the
that would
information I
be.
have on
Isn't that a great?
Dick Jessup.
See,
Is
I-
that and that record. Then the CD.
So again, I am so sorry.
You know,
I don't
there's
have
a
lot
band out of Ann Arbor called Easy Street Jazz Band.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah,
is
they've
the
got
last
2
picture that I
CDs.
have of Dick and Mary.
Oh. Still looks the same.
Pretty much.
This
yeah.
is your uncle? Is your-
So this is my grandpa Jessup, who used to drive him to the gigs
that's
when,
his
when he
father.
was 13. That yep, that's his
Oh.
father and mom. So yep, these are just the pictures I was able to grab really quickly. Yeah. So
I know my mother really liked his band. Her and her sisters apparently always went to see him.
and I forgot to tell you about my Aunt Mary because she was a cocktail waitress.
I was hoping you were going to
Yeah.
describe
Go ahead, we're leaving it live. I usually put a post runner if you want to tell
Oh, okay, yeah. So when Dick worked at the Sky Room, my Aunt Mary, who was a Southern belle from Mississippi, from Arkansas. She was a Southern belle. She was a cocktail waitress at that little, I think it was called the Hangar Bar, maybe. Anyway, it was this dark, cool little bar in the airport. But she had high-heeled white boots, short black skirt, a lot of clean. Bouffant, like bleach blonde bouffant. She was something, I am telling you.
Her?
So that was, yep. Yep, that was Mary. My Aunt Mary.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good
So
stuff.
this is my mom and Uncle
You
Dick
gonna
and
get
Aunt
some photos of
Phyllis.
those
That's the
pictures,
3
too?
siblings.
Oh.
Before we
Yeah.
head out, so we can use them on
Oh,
the
sure.
Here's that old, I got it off eBay. It's the Sky Room menu from the Sky Room.
Okay.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
I went up
I know.
there. I went up there once for
Oh,
a
this is
big
the line
jazz.
selection. Wow.
A drummer died, and it was a
wow.
memorial for him. Tom Piskus or something like that.
I
He's
don't
from
know.
Bay City. Here.
Okay.
And that's when I was just starting my research. So every jazz player that was alive at that time was there.
Wow, that is very cool. So is your book available yet?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Where can I find it?
right here.
Okay.
No, you can go to my website or
Okay.
Amazon Kindle.